A harmless favor to a stranger on a desolate road turned our peaceful camping trip into a night of terror. So, I was really excited about this camping trip. It was supposed to be just me and my best friend Emily, out in the woods, away from all the stress of our daily lives. We packed up our gear and hit the road early in the morning. We drove for hours, enjoying the scenery, until we found this perfect, secluded spot by a small lake. It was everything we wanted. We set up our tent, made a fire, and spent the day hiking and swimming. It was perfect. As the sun began to set, we decided to drive into the nearest town to grab some supplies. On our way back, the road was pitch black, with nothing but trees on either side. That's when we saw him, a guy standing on the side of the road, looking desperate. Against my better judgment, Emily convinced me to stop and see if he needed help. He said his car had broken down a few miles back and he needed a ride to the nearest gas station. He seemed harmless enough, so we let him in. As soon as he got in the car, I felt this weird tension. He was too quiet, staring straight ahead. We drove for about 10 minutes when he suddenly told us to pull over. He said he needed to use the bathroom and that he wouldn't take long. I pulled over, and he got out. We waited, and waited, and waited. After what felt like an eternity, I decided to go check on him. Emily stayed in the car while I grabbed my flashlight and walked into the woods. I called out for him, but there was no answer. I walked a bit further when I heard rustling behind me. I turned around, but no one was there. My heart was pounding. I decided to head back to the car, and that's when I saw him, standing right by the driver's side door, staring at Emily through the window. I yelled and started running back, but he didn't move. Emily saw me and quickly unlocked the car. I jumped in and locked the doors. We sped off, leaving him behind. As we drove away, Emily told me she saw him holding something in his hand, something sharp. We never saw him again, but that night, as we tried to sleep in our tent, every little noise outside made us jump. We packed up the next morning and left, cutting our trip short. I still get chills thinking about what could have happened if I hadn't come back when I did. A solo camping trip to find some peace and quiet turned into a nightmare when I realized I wasn't alone. I needed a break from everything, so I decided to go camping by myself. I found this beautiful spot near a river, far from any other campers. It was peaceful, exactly what I needed. I set up my tent, made a fire, and spent the day relaxing by the water. As night fell, I noticed a small tent set up a little way down the river. I didn't see anyone around, so I figured they were out exploring. I tried not to think much of it and went back to my fire. A few hours later, I heard rustling near my tent. I figured it was just an animal, but when I looked up, I saw a man standing at the edge of my campsite, watching me. He looked rough, like he hadn't showered in days. He didn't say anything, just stood there. I felt a shiver run down my spine. I asked if he needed something, but he didn't respond. He just turned around and walked back to his tent. I was on edge after that, but I tried to brush it off. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing noises outside my tent. Around midnight, I heard footsteps approaching. They stopped right outside my tent. I held my breath, hoping it was just my imagination. Then, I heard the zipper of my tent being tugged at. I grabbed my flashlight and shone it towards the zipper, and the footsteps quickly retreated. The next morning, I packed up my stuff and decided to leave. As I was packing, I noticed something near the man's tent, several pairs of shoes, all different sizes, just lying there. It creeped me out. I quickly finished packing and got out of there. As I drove away, I looked back and saw him standing by his tent, watching me leave. I still get uneasy thinking about how close he was to my tent that night and what he might have done if I hadn't been awake. Our camping trip became a nightmare when we realized one of the other campers wasn't who they seemed to be. My sister Emily and I loved camping and decided to spend a weekend at a popular campground. It was busier than we expected, but we managed to find a nice spot near the river. We spent the day hiking and enjoying the outdoors, chatting with other campers we met along the way. One guy, in particular, stood out. He was friendly, maybe a little too friendly. He introduced himself as Jack and seemed to pop up everywhere we went. At first, we didn't think much of it, but as the day went on, his constant presence started to feel unsettling. That night, as we sat by our campfire, Jack appeared again, this time uninvited. He made some small talk, but his eyes never left us. Emily and I exchanged worried glances. We told him we were heading to bed soon, hoping he'd take the hint and leave. He didn't. Instead, Jack lingered, asking more personal questions and getting increasingly creepy. Finally, we told him we were tired and needed to sleep. He reluctantly left, but I had a bad feeling. We made sure our tent was securely zipped and tried to sleep. Around 2 a.m., I woke up to the sound of rustling outside our tent. My heart pounded as I shook Emily awake. We listened as the rustling grew louder, then stopped right outside our tent. A shadow loomed over us, and we could hear breathing. I grabbed the pepper spray from my bag, ready to defend us. Suddenly, the shadow moved, and we heard footsteps retreating. We waited, hearts racing, until we were sure it was safe. Then we packed up our things and left, even though it was the middle of the night. The next morning, we reported the incident to the campground staff. They told us no one named Jack had checked in. Whoever he was, he had no business being there. We never saw him again, but I still get nervous every time I hear a rustle outside my tent. A week later, I was scrolling through a news site and my blood ran cold. There was a report about a series of disappearances at various campgrounds in the area. The victims were all young women, and the last person seen with them was described as a friendly, overly familiar man named Jack. The police had no leads and warned campers to be vigilant. I couldn't shake the feeling that we had narrowly escaped something terrible. To this day, every time Emily and I go camping, we stay hyper-aware of our surroundings, always looking over our shoulders. The memory of Jack's unsettling presence and the knowledge of what could have happened still creeps me out beyond belief. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Also follow us on our socials. Your support keeps us going. Check out the next video you see here on the screen, and we'll see you again for another shadowy delight.